We often hear about this debate in the public sphere. The debate about the validity of a 9 to 5 job schedule. Are we actually built to operate in this way, or are we meant for something else? We need to first establish an important principle. We all need to work. If you don't work, you don't eat. It's that simple. This is important to know because sometimes people get entangled in complex theoretical discussions without proceeding from basic premises. Without these basic premises, the building is on top of either a shaky or completely absent foundation. And regardless of how everything looks on top of the ground, everything will inevitably come crashing down. You need to ask yourself, how do you feel about working a regular 9 to 5 job? Is this something you want to do for the rest of your life? Or are you quote unquote meant for more, as some people say? This is too broad a topic to just give a simple yes or no answer, but I will at least start with a premise. I think that we aren't necessarily meant for a 9 to 5 job, but it is something that makes sense given how our society is structured. In the 19th century, it was not uncommon for people to work extremely long hours, like 16 to 18 hours, and sleep in the factory they would work at. Workers wouldn't even get lunch breaks or any breaks of sort because productivity was most important. Many children were also working those long hours, so it wasn't just adults. Eventually, because the working conditions were so dire and brutal, it was not uncommon for workers to lose their limbs because of some accident at work. The machines the workers had weren't always the easiest to work with, and focusing on safety and proper training wasn't as relevant back then as it is today. It wasn't until when in 1936 that the Walsh-Healey Contracts Act do we get the regular 8-hour-a-day, 40 hours a week work schedule. This was designed in order to limit abuses from employers towards employees and create a safe work environment. Since then, this has become the norm. But today, so many people, especially college-age students, are demanding that this be reduced to 32 hours, and some demanding even universal basic income because it is a quote-unquote human right. What do I make of these arguments? Is an 8-hour day, 40 hours a week something that is abusive? Are we entitled to free money from the government for our subsistence? Well, let me start off by saying that compared with how work conditions were in the 19th century, an 8-hour day, 40-hour work week is quite reasonable. I would probably shorten it to 32 to 35 hours per week, but 40 is not bad. Humans need to be productive in order for them to have meaning in their lives. It's just how we're wired. Studies have shown that one of the biggest contributors to crime, especially among young men, is idleness and lack of purpose. Work takes care of this problem by assigning them things to do, and in exchange for their labor, they earn a paycheck. It is one of the reasons why social service institutions help those who are struggling with crime to build employable skills because they are a deterrent to criminal activity. Now, the next question I want to tackle is, are we entitled to free money from the government? This issue was discussed by some politicians, especially far-left ones, who believe that this is a so-called human right. I disagree. I think that no one is entitled to free money and resources because money doesn't grow on trees. In order for everyone to have free money, a lot of things have to happen. First, money needs to grow on trees, which is not possible. So that one is out of the window immediately. Second, where do we get this extra money from to pay everyone? Well, the socialist types argue that since the wealthy have so much money that they don't need, we can impose high taxation on them and distribute that money to the general population. The problem with this is that many wealthy people are responsible for creating jobs, for the rest of the population. So taxing them is only going to alienate them, which will make them take their job opportunities somewhere else. Either way, my point still stands. People need to work. Period. You cannot have a massive number of people just sitting around and twiddling their thumbs. That would be a huge recipe for societal disaster. People are not made to be idle and lazy. They are made for productive action. And this is actually supported by the Bible when God tells Adam and Eve to work the ground. This wasn't a punishment by God, but a commandment. We were designed for work, and no one can say we weren't. Anyone who says we are not supposed to work and should just constantly be enjoying ourselves and having fun is promoting a hedonistic lifestyle, which research has proven over and over again that it is unfulfilling and will ultimately lead to misery. So what should you do if you hate your job then? Can this fact alone prove the premise that we as humans were not meant to work? I personally don't think so, and here's why. Most people on Earth don't like their jobs, but they do them anyways because they need to pay their bills. It's like that saying, if you don't work, you don't eat. No one is going to help you if you fail to make your own income. It's the harsh reality of things. You can complain and whine about it all you want, but this is just how society operates and should operate. You can have genuine critiques about the nature of work in America and how so many people are overworked and underpaid. But that doesn't prove the premise that therefore work is unnecessary. That's wrong. We all need work. And the solution to a bad work environment isn't no work, but a good work environment. Lastly, I would also encourage you to ask yourself, how are you personally contributing to your own suffering? I say this because people are easily swayed by systemic arguments since they don't have to take personal accountability for their lives. It's possible that you are creating your own misery, which oftentimes is unnecessary. This can come in the form of cognitive distortions that predispose you to having negative beliefs about your work and coworkers. A lot of this can also come from radical ideologies like socialism, which encourage people to be lazy and to leech off of others who are working hard. Don't be that person. Work hard and be honest. And yes, I know that hard work isn't as rewarded as it used to be, but it doesn't mean that it also doesn't matter in today's world. We can acknowledge how systemic issues are making work less enjoyable and meaningful without throwing the baby out with the bathwater by saying that all work is bad. Take accountability and look at yourself. I'm sure you'll find plenty of things you need to work on that have nothing to do with how the system is. It helped me, and I'm sure it will help you too. So that's it for this video. If you like this content, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and share to get notified about more videos like this one. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.